500 films across 5 years, and in four or five of the budgetary classes that they had studied, believe 5 of them, films that had female leads, were outperforming the ones with male leads.
Good afternoon, Melanie. In 2015, Artemis created the first Women in Action Film Festival.
Welcome to The Changing Stage. We are here at Intertalk Media's studio, and we are with some very special guests, great friends, new friends. Yeah. We have Kaylene Peoples from BellaComposers.org, also Agenda Magazine, also recording artist. We'd be a whole show here if I name every. I just learned she does movies as well. One of my great friends. I love her to death, and we've got Melanie Wise.
Hi.
Yes, and that you are. You've been an actress. You are a producer, director, graphics, editor, anything in this space.
Well, I don't direct.
Really?
No.
I thought I read director.
No.
Okay, I'm going to fire myself
I would never claim that title. That's a tough.
Stunts too, though, right?
I do my own fight stunts.
Oh, fight stunts.
Yeah.
But probably one of the biggest reasons why you're here is you are the director of the Artemis Film Festival.
Yes.
Which is, I'm going to read this off, guys. It is the film festival that is Action Film Festival for Women. And it's
Yes.
April 25th through the 28th.
Of 2019.
Yes, yes. Awesome, awesome. Well, what we're here to talk about is kind of all of that, but encompassed in the new growth of women leadership in the entertainment business. Oh, you know what? I forgot. There's a guest here too. We've got a little co-host here. We got Sammy. He's chilling on the arm of the
The mascot.
Yeah, my chair here. I'm totally pimping out my dog. Sammy is also a fighter pilot, as you can see with his little little fighter pilot bomber jacket here. But
A bit of a ham too. Did you see?
Yeah,
did
they
you check
turned
the
right
look?
to the camera.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, Sammy, you ready for your close up? I am Mr. DeMille. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, with that said, let's kind of get a little bit more about how you ladies started in business. I think we'll start off with Kaylene because I've known you the longest.
Okay.
How did you get in this business, and tell people so they can understand the dynamics of what it is to be a lady in the entertainment business?
Well, that's a loaded question. How did I get in? My whole life, I was always fascinated with film.
Okay.
And, of course, I'm a trained musician from childhood. So,
Yeah.
But when I was really young, and my parents would take me to the movies or whatever, I would sit there and I would repurpose in my head the scores before I knew what that was.
Wow.
So I'd be watching the movie and I go, I would have done this. I'm like 7. Say, that doesn't work there. Or, I like how they did that. And then I go, how would I do it? And I realized.
So you weren't just memorizing the lyrics to Disney movies. You were
No, I was like
analyzing and
I was rewriting music in my head while I was watching the movies, thinking some things worked, some things didn't. So I have a feeling that composers are born, not made.
Yes.
Because it was just something that was just in my head always.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where probably the footing started with music. I got involved in music.
So you wanted to be more on the back end, but you moved into being, you're one of the great jazz singers out there, and you've got a strong background with different variations of jazz, from pop jazz to traditional. You've kind of done it all in that way. So what made that transition flip to being the person out front?
Well, because I discovered that there was no door for women
Yeah.
as composers for film.
Kind of like Nina Simone. She was going to be a classical pianist,
Yeah.
but then she realized that it was a really hard road, so she kind of turned that table and started
Yeah.
to want to be the point person as a singer.
That's what happened, yeah, because I never really wanted to be in front of the. I was never really like the entertainer person.
Yeah, yeah.
I wanted to be one running the stuff behind the scenes and
Yeah, yeah.
writing the stuff behind the stuff. And then it was like, you know, I discovered sadly after I'd gotten my degrees in score writing and orchestrating and all that other stuff that unless I wanted to ghostwrite for the rest of
Yeah.
my life, I didn't really have any way to really move out front and actually score films the way I wanted to do. So, or even with just music and producing. And people kept saying, "Oh, you know, you should be in front. You got a great face for it," and blah blah blah. So, turns out it worked out pretty well. I wasn't a bad little actress on stage, you know.
Yeah, no.
Because you have to be a good actor if you're going to be a musician, an entertainer.
If you're going to direct your career, you have
Yeah.
to be able to understand every role. And
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that you've done exceptionally well that I've known of you, because not only do you compose, you sing, you perform, you are a director, you own a magazine. You want to show everybody kind of, we'll shamelessly
Yeah, I mean, this
plug
is.
all the good stuff.
I brought this because this is a special issue that was sort of dedicated as Agenda was a sponsor for Artemis
Yeah.
Women in Action Film Festival, and she was one of the honorees, Ming Na Wen, and we interviewed her as well as the director and founder, Melanie Wise,
Yeah.
in the magazine. And it's a Women in Ageism issue and Women in Power issue. So,
Great
Yeah.
magazine.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Because it's an amazing view into fashion, but it also kind of turns a lot of your fashion standards on its ear, which I am greatly appreciative of.
It is, and it really kind of speaks to the lifestyle, not just of the clothing, but the music, the what's in the heart, what's in the head, and all that fun stuff. So.
And also outside of the very defined, well-painted lines of what society would have you think it should be.
Yes.
And yeah,
And that's kind of what this show is all about, is women really growing in the leadership of the entertainment business. So let's kind of go over to you, Melanie. How did you get started? I know I read in your bio that you had an award-winning movie and you had some other things, but tell us a bit about how this all came about for you.
I modeled, and somebody suggested that I step into acting, and I was like, what the hell? And I, started learning, and much to my chagrin, I discovered that at 6 feet tall, you're a casting nightmare. And I think the other part of that was really kind of sucky as a 6 foot tall, athletically built human being is that it becomes very difficult to sell the victim.
Yeah.
So you have your standard trope of Hollywood women is the happy hooker, the wife, the girl next door, the victim wringing their hands in fear, and I don't play those things well.
No.
So I've obviously been a long time fan of action, and I don't care if it's a man or a woman or a dog in action. I'm interested. And then, after a long time of trying to put that, female-led action films out into the world and failing miserably, 5 years ago, it was one of those things where it's like, if you want to see more of it in the world, let's have a place for it to play. So the festival was born. And the part that's really interesting is for a lot of years I would study box office statistics, and it was anecdotal because we were not funding female-led action at all to the degree of male-led action.
Not even
and
close,
then,
yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it was a fraction of the number of films. And then you add to that, let's just say the standard budget for male action is $100 million. They might, invest $25 million in a female-led action picture. So you don't get nearly the number of swings at bats. It's not financed not even to a near degree or promoted and publicized to a near degree as those films. But based on the research that I had done literally 15 years ago, I knew that female-led action was a bankable box office animal. And you got all of the trades, and then I'm not joking, these were actual headlines, Women in Action is box office poison. Well, literally last week they published a study that was, I can't remember who financed it, but it literally just hit the trades, and they looked at, I believe it was 500 films across 5 years, and in four or five of the budgetary classes that they had studied, I believe 5 of them, films that had female leads were outperforming the ones with male leads.
Wow.
Right. So, I mean, and this is something that I have been working on for a lot of years, but it's...
And that's what the film festival is about, right?
Yeah, it is. We are, I don't know if we're still the only, but we were the first festival dedicated to female action and empowerment heroes. So 100% of what we screen has a woman in a lead or a co-leading role on screen, taking action or literally in physical action. And, so it sucks being ahead of the bell curve.
Yeah. Trust me, we kind of understand that, being a media network about the music industry is definitely, it's got its challenges. And trying to get people to recognize it's not about general or mass audiences. It's about really focusing on areas that are important to groups of people and then empowering those groups, and then those groups can empower
others.
Kind of broader audiences.
Absolutely.
So, very simply, what was the first, female action movie that you were like, wow?
Blew my skirt up?
Yeah.
It's, Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2.
You know what? I was thinking that same one too.
Yeah,
So
and before or since, have you ever seen an action film where the physicality of the woman, because she looks like an athlete.
Yeah, she does.
She's ripped and
Especially
shredded.
after that scene when she was in the I think it was
Chin-ups?
Yeah, the chin-ups and all that. She was badass.
Oh yeah, she was totally badass. But the part the part of the casting that I love about that is we cast women in action, and you've got this model that looks like you could thump and she's would break her. But there was one of the first and few times where you see the casting of a physical specimen who was, you bought her as a physical specimen and as a capable physical specimen.
That could actually take on Arnold Schwarzenegger as
and win.
Terminator and win.
Yeah.
No, I get that. It's one of my favorite movies, and it defined special effects. It defined the variables that could be star quality in action movies. So, how about you, Kaylene? I know that wasn't the drive for you, but I know that you're. If there wasn't one action star that I could say could go on the screen, it would be Kaylene. Because you'd be able to do anything and everything and still look good doing it. So.
That's the key, and do it in stilettos. That's something they have over men.
True.
Short skirts and stilettos and still
and being
knocking.
able to run and kick some ass. So.
Do all of the things that a man can do, but do it in a doily with 6-inch heels. Yeah.
So what was the movie for you?
You know what? I almost want to say I remember Terminator 2, and I remember when she came on screen, and I was like, I want to look like her. I want to be her. I want to work out. I want to look. I was blown away by that movie.
Woman inspired a whole generation of women to show up at the gym.
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah.
To do it not because they're trying to look good for somebody, but for themselves, right?
Yes. That and that's also a defining minute right there, because it's not. Yes, it's nice to have a pretty shell, but more than anything, I don't think you can beat the confidence that comes with feeling physically capable.
Yeah. I get that.
So
both of you ladies, I would consider very profound leaders in the music and entertainment space. Let's kind of jump into that, and then we'll come back around to the festival, and then how you and Melanie got connected and all this other fun stuff. So, when did you decide? I'll again start back off with you, When did that come about? That you like, I need to be in charge of this if I'm going to get it done right. I know I opened up a big can of worms there because it could go on.
Can I steal for just a second?
Please do.
Yeah, no, I think I can say, I can lead, I can follow. You know, I hate following stupid people.
Yeah.
But the other part of it is I find that I am where I am, not because I sat there and went, oh my God, I have to lead this pack to do this, but out of necessity.
Yeah.
It's like you want to go in a direction where you are pushing a snowball uphill. It's like you better have the stones and the discipline to show up and roll up your sleeves and get the elbow grease out.
Yeah, not by name, but by action
Yeah.
and by character. So,
Yeah.
so kind of going back to you with that, when did that moment kind of happen? Because, again, I would say that the entertainment industry has definitely not been the best when it comes down to appreciating the quality of women leadership and being able to help foster that in a way that is, you know, best for all involved. And you've demonstrated that. Like I said, you produce your own albums, and you've worked with great players and producers, but you're the one who's kind of directing that. Your magazine, you look and define all the elements that are in the magazine, working with great people on, you know, that help you. But was that part of your, like, when you were like a kid and you were at school and that just kind of naturally came out, or did you develop that over time?
I think my parents probably developed it in me. They said that you could do anything you want.
Yeah.
And I never saw myself as, first of all, a girl. Even though I was female, I always saw myself as I could do anything I want. And so I wasn't bound by any limitations of sex.
Yeah.
And my parents were so supportive that anything, literally what I wanted, they supported. So I always knew I was going to be in, I was already one of those little hyperachiever.
Yeah.
I always lead. I was always a leader. Even,
Yeah.
at 2 years old, I was leading. So
This is part of your.
it's just part of my personality. Like, again, I'm kind of with her. Like, the reason I ended up producing films was because I worked with other people on film, and I didn't really like the way they were running things. And I said, well, I'm sure if I studied this, I could do better than this. I mean, they're making mistakes as they go along. Shouldn't they have worked those mistakes out before they got behind this and started, so my thing, being a female, I was taught, you have to do everything way better anyway to get, noticed. So I used to be like, okay, I'm going to really study this. I'm going to really, mentor with the right people and practicing, really get good at this. And then by the time it's my turn, because you get one shot if you're a woman.
Yeah, if you can't perform and show that you can do the job,
Exactly.
they're not going to give you a chance again.
Exactly, and I have two problems. I'm a woman and I'm black.
Yeah.
I've got problems here. So I've got two things. It's like I have to prove myself over and over again for people to even give me a shot, and it's almost like you would be stupid not to hire me, because my skill set is so high compared to the person that's coming in.
Yeah.
And reluctantly I'll get picked.
Yeah.
And then they'll be glad they did. But usually it's like, because I'm so much more skilled. It's only because, it's not that I'm better than anyone, it's just that I know that I'm at a disadvantage behind the 8 ball.
It is, you're better than them. It's not, I think that you do have to, it's like, no, you're just better. There's that, but also it's like when you're in a creative project, if you have someone who sees in great detail the things that you have to achieve, right? That's the person you want leading that charge.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want the one that can't come up and see the intimacies and the intimate details of that project leading the charge. They're going to miss a pile of shit.
Yeah.
But the part I think that is a hardship is, it sounds really horrible to say this, but I mean, I think as a woman, you've got to work harder.
Yeah.
You don't get to kind of walk through it and show up and get 15 chances.
Yeah.
You're going to bust your ass and you're going to get a shot or a couple maybe, and if you're screwing up, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's right.
I get that. And then kind of going back to what you said, there's a whole lot of dumbasses in both sides of the business, whether it be music or film or TV. You know,
Yeah.
I think I'm glad that this. You know, I'm going to do a plug here. The stage is changing. I was going to laugh out of you on that one.
I love your title, by the way. That's really cool.
Oh, thanks,
Yeah.
thanks. It actually was supposed to be a band name, and then the band poo-pooed that name. That's Paul over here. He's our director and doing the photography. He's like, terrible band name. All right, great
It is
radio show
good.
name.
It's a good show name. He was right. I don't know if it's a bad band name, but certainly it's a good show name.
Yeah. So, but that's all. This whole industry, especially music. I can't say that I know enough about the film industry, but I'm imagining it's very similar with technology, with some democratic type of content creation. It's really kind of it is changing quite a bit. So, with that said, are you finding that's helping to empower you as leaders in this industry? Are you?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the fact that we're gravitating to such a digital space, I think
Yeah.
that's awesome, and it does level the playing field in terms of content creation.
Mm-hmm.
It does not level the playing field in terms of getting the support you need,
Yeah.
getting pushed out there, getting financing.
Yeah.
It doesn't help at all. And I always joke about it's like I want to buy myself a set of brass testicles so I can walk in and plop them on the table and say I have a set too.
Well, more than likely, those other people that are in the room do not. That's just kind of
What-
because it's such a who game still. It's changing quite a bit, obviously, because you don't have to necessarily at least get your content out there. That, like you said, but I think that and I think you ladies both have stories how it's such a like a men's club and. I'm really opening up a can of worms. I know we won't go too deep into
I have a
it.
fresh wound on that one.
I know you do. But it's crazy how that is the case. And kind of on that, what do you think are some character traits that will define how to be a leader in the entertainment music space? Movies?
As a female,
Yes.
you have to learn when to shove your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
You can't act on emotion
Yeah.
because you're going to be expected to act on emotion as a female.
Yeah.
So you almost have to be more stoic than a guy
Yeah.
in that response. That's one thing for sure. And you better have all of your ducks in a row. I mean, you better know everybody's job because you're going to have to be sure they're doing it right. Because if anybody messes up on your watch, you're going to be blamed for it.
Yeah.
Whereas I hate to say this, but I've seen this with males. It's almost like a lot of guys, I'm not saying they're all like this, so I apologize because
There's a lot
there's
of
some
great guys.
freaking amazing guys who really are on top of their game.
And we're not man haters.
Yeah, I'm not a man hater. But I will say this, I've seen a lot of producers, I've seen a lot of filmmakers fly by the seat of their pants on a set, half learn a script, half not even read the camera shots before they start shooting.
Yeah.
I've seen producers in the studio who don't even know the artist's intention 100% before they start changing the person's music and they're flying. They just don't really. Yet with a female, you can't risk it. So you really have to understand the artist if you're in the music producing, for sure. And you have to be sure you're giving that artist what they want. You don't have the latitude. You have to, and on set, same thing. You got to pretty much make sure everything is running properly. As opposed, you don't have the freedom to wing it as much as a female. That's probably what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you have to have it all preset. And
Pretty
planned.
much.
And then be the ultimate multitasker. That's definitely one thing I can say about ladies. They really know how to do that very well.
Yeah, I'm a good multitasker.
How to juggle everything. And so, how about for the movies? Because I'm not sure how that's.
They are different industries, but I think there's a lot of similarity. Would you agree, Kaylene?
I think there's a lot of filmmaking and producing is 10 times music. I'm sorry.
Oh,
It's 10
why do you
times
say
harder.
that?
Oh, you're kidding me. Because you have to deal with personalities
Oh, yeah, no, the crew would
and
be much bigger.
schedules and egos.
Yeah. And more money.
and there's more money involved,
Yeah.
and it's a bigger scope.
Yeah,
Music
no,
is-
on that I can see
Yeah.
that. No, I think the one skill that you're going to have to come to the table with is an extraordinary amount of discipline and stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, since I started this film festival, I have literally been eating an elephant one bite at a time. And so I think that, but any project that I've ever done, there's an extraordinary learning curve, and you've got to be able to say yes to that. And if you cannot say yes to this massive influx of data, then I think you might be looking at the wrong industry.
Yeah.
That's, you know, it requires a lot of learning. And filmmakers erroneously think, I don't know if this applies to music, but filmmakers think, oh, I just got to finish a film and put it in the can. No, you gotta come up with a writer. You gotta write the project. You gotta do your post production. You actually have to show up to production. You've got to make it all the way through post, and then when you're not done, you actually have to have a marketing plan to push your project out into the world. And people put the finish line at finishing the actual film.
Yeah.
They don't put their film. The finish line needs to be at distribution.
Yeah.
That's where your finish line is.
That's where it should start.
Yeah.
You almost want to start figuring out your distribution channels before you even create your film, so that you can create your film to
Go
actually
down.
go right easily down that road. Because otherwise, you're pulling your hair. Oh, I should have done this in the movie. You'll hear, oh, this is great, except for this. You should have done, you know, like product placement and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, and if it's a horror film, where's my 2.5 boobs?
Yeah, yeah. There's things
Is
they
that
need,
needed
right?
in the movies nowadays? Since, I
Honestly,
mean, that's probably one of the things I could say about porn in the, you know, on the internet now is it seems like a lot of that's being subtracted out of the movies because you don't need to get it from there.
Yeah.
Right? That's just.
I hope you're correct. It's been a while, but I remember, especially if you were looking at something. This goes back in time, but if you were looking at something for negative pickup on a foreign foreign scale, they were always looking for how many boobs were in it, how many naked boobs. And I'll be honest with you, I was tired of that particular.
That trend.
You know, I have no aversion to boobs. But it is one of those where I do get a little tired of the shower scene just so we can see some chicks' naked boobs.
Hey, at least we're starting to see booties and butts of men.
Well, you're starting to see other
And
things.
some
You know,
full frontal,
I'll
you
be,
know?
I'll be honest with you. I am not opposed to the objectification of women. I just want to see equal objectification
Yeah,
of the
thank
sexes.
you.
That's the only thing. Because, I mean, let's face it, you know, your physicality is an asset.
Yeah.
So why would you not leverage
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know if I would like to see more of that, but I would like to see more balance for the ladies.
Yeah,
You know, as far as-
that's the only place I'm coming from. Yes, I objectify all you like, but you know what? I want to see it.
On the other side, too.
I want what's
Yeah.
good for the goose is good for the gander.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think balance is going to be great in this industry, and I'm hoping that technology will provide that and being able to drive a business agenda, because so long, like in music especially, it was always about what is the you know, you're just going to be a creative and you don't really understand what's going on into your career. The days of Jimi Hendrix or Janis Joplin, as great an artists they were, you can't be that kind of artist.
No.
You can't be the artist like Prince anymore, where you don't connect with your audience. You don't speak to the audience. You have to have some type of social engagement nowadays.
And you also have to come to the table with a fantastic business sense, which seems counter to an artistic nature.
It does, but if you're a plumber and you decide to open up a plumbing business, there's an art to plumbing, and you have to learn how to run a business as well. So I encourage any musicians to be more like the leaders that we're starting, you know, that we see, like you ladies, where you go in and you make it your own, and you do it in the pathway that you feel fits your character and your personality and you're creative. So, and with that said, let's kind of jump into the film festival and all
Well,
those.
actually, can you tell them about the music?
Okay.
All right, we'll start off with the music festival, how you connected to the film festival, and then we'll kind of summarize what this whole big, fun Artemis Film Festival is about and the action world of ladies in movies.
Well, Artemis Women in Action Film Festival, that's actually the title. And women-led bands, women-led music, and women composers. Melanie approached me about.
Did you guys know each other quite a bit, or was it something that you heard about Kaylene and said, "I got to talk to this lady"?
That's another story.
Yeah, it's a whole other story. So, First Take PR is owned by me,
Yeah.
and First Take PR is doing their PR.
Ah, okay.
That wasn't something I was going to publicly come out and say, maybe you want to edit that. I don't know.
No,
But,
this is who you are, and this is what you do.
Yeah.
You are a true Renaissance business person, and you are able to do and wear so many hats all at the same time and do them exceptionally well. So let's just put that out there, folks. This is, about women who can do, not just women, but people in general, people who are amazing. So.
Thank you. So I opened for last edition Artemis.
Okay.
I was the headliner entertainment
Oh,
for
okay.
the last film festival, which
Awesome.
was last April.
Mhm.
And then Melanie approached me about, she's always wanted to include music.
Yeah.
She said it seemed like a natural fit.
Yeah, I read that in the bio that, a movie without a soundtrack or a music score is just not quite as powerful.
It's
as
like
it
an
is.
action film without a stunt crew.
Yeah. So,
So my platform has always been women composers, and how it's been a challenge for women to really come out into the forefront. I mean, up until recently, we haven't really even heard about very many women scoring films.
yeah.
And so I'm the founder of Bella Composers, which is a company that was created to bring women composers to the forefront, as well as get them industry films,
Yeah.
studio films, not just independent.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that's the platform. It's a performing arts center charity. So it just seemed like a perfect fit,
Yeah.
because I'm into the film scoring thing, and I want to see more women scoring.
And you're also a recording artist, and
Yeah.
you cross multiple genres, so that all makes
Yeah.
sense. That makes sense.
So then, so at this, we thought it would be a good idea to have a competition, a music competition in the Artemis Women in Action Film Festival for women-led
And
bands.
submissions for that are coming up pretty quick. January 15th.
Yeah, January 15th.
So,
And
ladies, if you have a band or you're an aspiring composer, make sure you go to
And female solo artists,
female solo artists, yeah.
female-led bands, and female composers
And the URL for them to visit to find that out.
is artemisfilmfestival.com. So it's ARTEMIS filmfestival.com.
yeah, and they can also go to bellacomposers.org
Oh yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
It's all there too. We're kind of mirroring the site and
Awesome.
leading people right back to them. So
Which I encourage everyone who has that passion to submit. You may not get it this year, but keep going, because what we all find is it's always about just being consistent, committed, and never letting go. Just driving it.
I think the other reason why I wanted to see music in this festival is, we are seeing a shift in terms of how women are handled or dealt with in the entertainment industry, but female musicians are sadly also kind of overlooked.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
so, I mean, there are film festivals out there that are focused on women, but they usually highlight female directors, writers, and producers. Our edict is such that, we've got women front and center for everything that we screen. And, so to be able to bring music to that, a musical component to that, where we're also putting women front and center, I think is, well, it blows my skirt up.
Blows my skirt too. So, kind of with that said, tell us, how did the festival come about, and what was the growth like for you?
It was one of those, when I was talking about the whole research thing, it's like it's been in my head for a long time that this is a worldwide audience favorite. It is action, and I do think that fan base is open to female-led action. And, statistically, financially, we're starting to see proof of that.
Yeah.
But it was born because years of trying to push those kind of projects out and not really getting anywhere. And so the first year we were concept to execution of our first festival 6 months. So we had the idea, 6 months later we had the first festival. And the part that really blew my mind was in 2 months, we opened up, we had a very short submission period, 2 months, and we got about 200 submissions from around the globe,
Really?
25
Wow.
countries. And because I when we first, started this, I was like, oh God, we're going to get laughed out of the park for this idea. And then we opened submissions. I was like, oh man, I hope we get 20 films. And we got 200
Wow.
from
Did you-
25 countries.
Did you run all of those or that?
Oh God, no.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
I mean, every year is brutal for programming. We get exceptional content. I mean, every single year. And then when, we have to do official selections, and it's a nail biter, and B, it's stressful because we don't have the screen time to play everything that should be seen. And then we get down to actually making the program. But, we put together a pretty decent program.
Are you kidding me? Do you know who they've had? Tom Cruise, Melissa McCarthy,
yeah.
Michelle Rodriguez, Ming-Na Wen, now Ginny Epper, the main #1 stunt woman that started it all with Wonder Woman.
Oh, wow.
is Melissa Stubbs, Zoe Bell. I mean, the list is endless. You should see Tom Cruise's dedication that he gives when he was getting his acceptance speech about how he really was appreciative of this particular film festival because it was showing strong women,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's what
yeah.
he is an action hero, and so for him to see
he
a
grew up
strong,
with that.
exactly,
He did.
House
he grew up
full of
with
women,
strong
yeah.
women, and he was as a woman watching his acceptance speech, I got a tear in my eye, like, oh my gosh, I like Tom Cruise even more now. I'm going to see all of his movies, like, oh wow, I mean, he endorsed Artemis.
Well,
And
that's
it was
amazing. That's
amazing
awesome. Yeah.
for a man to endorse it.
Yeah.
And
You know.
the last 2 years, Paul Feig has
Yeah.
presented the festival.
Wow.
Director of Ghostbusters,
Yeah,
Spy. So that's been
Yeah.
an extraordinary blessing as well. So I mean, we do celebrate men. Those men that if you watch what Paul Feig does, I mean, he makes movies. He may have a female in it, but it's a movie. I want to get to the place where it's not a female writer or a female director. They're just writers and directors.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
People are people.
Right. So that's like coming up and saying, well, gee, I'm a white woman. It's like, no, I'm just a human being. I'm not, those things are
Either I'm good for what I do or I'm not.
Right.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Right, but so we do, we have actually honored some men as well, because it's like, I want to call a lot of attention to those people that are already in the industry that heavily support this and don't mind seeing really badass women on screen. I mean, Tom Cruise really blows my mind because you have a guy who, plays this like super duper cool and totally badass, secret agent in Mission Impossible. And I think in one of his, I don't know about the last one, but in not this latest one, but the one before that, the woman in it saves him 3 times.
Yeah.
I mean, who
Yes.
does that?
Yeah.
I think it was the last
Yeah.
one.
It was the last one.
Yeah, I think it was the last one. Yeah.
Well, I know it was Ferguson that did it, but I mean, but the last, well, actually, all of the Mission Impossibles are amazing, but it's just, So we've,
Yeah.
and we get to play some really cool films. We get to play stuff pieces of history that nobody knows anything about, and they should know,
Yeah.
because women are kind of whitewashed from history too.
It's true. Women composers have been whitewashed from history too. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Oh yeah. Well,
I mean, I could imagine. Could have guessed, but
let me
I
give you
don't
some
know.
information on that.
I know you will.
Mozart's sister wrote the first 10 sonatas that he did, but he got the credit for. And because she was a woman, she couldn't have a career as a composer.
Yeah, it's true. Or women couldn't be actors. They usually use men to play women.
They did.
From back in those days. So yeah.
Mendelssohn's wife wrote half of the music, didn't
Yeah.
get credited for any of it.
Yeah.
And the list goes on. Schumann's wife. There's a lot of women who have hidden behind the cloaks of men composers because they're just not allowed to come out. And it's like suddenly their music is coming out now. I'm finding their music.
Yeah.
And I'm finding the stories behind them. And the list is endless. And then I'm going to tell you, in 2013, New Yorker, Quincy Jones actually is quoted saying he would never hire a woman composer, no matter what.
I admire Quincy. Don't admire that statement, but yeah, definitely. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
This is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with an old boys club.
And it's not even about talent. It's about the fact that,
Yeah.
It's about gender.
yeah,
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with talent at all.
Or it could be about race or other things that are
it could be.
not fair in the process of selecting who should, be the ones that are presented to the world for the creative. So I definitely get that.
Well, women are definitely on the bottom of we're bottom feeders when it comes to composing and producing. I know I'm getting on a platform, but just let me say this. If you are a woman, okay, if you're a man, your chances are much better, okay?
Yeah.
If
Yep.
you're a black man, your chances have diminished extremely, okay? Or a person of color that's not of a traditional, your chances have diminished. But you at least have the chances on those genre films.
Yeah.
If you're a woman, your chances are less than 0.0001% of getting like a studio film or a score or anything. It doesn't matter.
And you're speaking strictly for composing.
I'm talking about score writing.
Okay, so, but in film, so you have, your minority males that are getting a certain percentage of the work,
Yeah.
Director, crew, whatever, or even on screen. So you have, your white male constituent, all of the minority males get more jobs than all of the women put together.
Yeah.
So, you're looking at an extraordinary level of underrepresentation.
Yeah.
This is like guys making bras. It's like you don't have boobs. How on earth could you figure out how to make a comfortable bra?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. So, kind of on that particular note, what advice would you give ladies and men in general on how to be accomplished leaders in the entertainment, sphere? But obviously, this is about how women are growing in that arena. So, what would be your suggestions?
Okay.
Advice.
Just know your craft, first of all.
Yeah.
Know it well. Be a people person.
Thick-skinned.
You got to be
Yeah.
thick-skinned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not personal.
Build up your network, because you're better with a network than
Yeah.
alone. And just be the best for the job, because ultimately what happens with me several times is I didn't get a certain job, because I'm also a film producer, and I didn't get a couple of films, and the person botched the film, and they came back to me and asked me to fix it. Like I'm the film fixer. Okay. And I end up fixing these problems and fixing the films, and I got a rep for the film doctor is what But the reality is you're going to get overlooked. Expect it.
Yeah.
Be an entrepreneur and create your own opportunities. Do not wait on anyone to give you an opportunity, because it may never happen.
Right?
Yeah.
You can't wait around for the phone to ring.
Yeah, create your own opportunities.
I started producing film literally because I knew if I was going to wait for the phone to ring, that was never going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Had to make it yourself. And I like the one that you said earlier too about emotion, where don't let emotion drive your decision making. Use reason, use logic, use strategy. That will get you a lot farther. And I think that's going to be a key thing for not just women but men in general, because a lot of people, do stupid things because they feel a certain way, or they've had something in their past or something that affect the way they're going to make this judgment on this particular decision. And with that said, as we're kind of coming to a close here, what can people expect at the film festival? What can people expect at the music festival? And, how can they get tickets and attend and, all that fun stuff?
You want to jump in, or do you want me to?
Go ahead. You go first.
At the film festival, pretty much we're going to have 2 evenings. We have an awards gala on Thursday night, the 25th. Friday evening will be our opening films. Saturday and Sunday will be all day film screenings.
And where will this be at?
Beverly Hills and Santa Monica. You leave it to me to leave the good details out, right?
Paris.
What was it?
Paris Theater.
Oh, the Aria is on Thursday night in Beverly Hills. Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday are all in Santa Monica. And then on Saturday and Sunday, we'll have workshops and panels, and that's where we're also going to work in our live performances. We will have someone headline the awards gala on Thursday evening in Beverly Hills.
In Santa Monica and Lindley. You're going to tell them where.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, you can tell them Lindley.
Oh, well, yeah, no, it'll be, all of that data will be on our website. Tickets are not yet for sale. They'll go on sale probably late January, early February.
And they sell out pretty fast from what I...
Yes, no, I mean, our awards gala last year was standing room only, which was awesome.
So that's good to see. That's good to see. That type of engagement is huge.
Yeah, no, it's phenomenal to have. The one compliment that we get a lot of, that is my favorite compliment, is and I get it from men and women. They're like, "Oh my God, I'm so inspired," and that's the whole point of it. It's like, and to be able to mix that, like, last year having Kaylene, open the awards gala. I mean, you got a powerful, powerful woman opening for a show that features powerful women.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
No, it doesn't. And then it's so well rounded too. You can do it all.
I know. I was juggling on that.
Like that old song, "Bring Home the Bacon." Yeah.
Here we go, smack its ass too.
And it's funny. And so for the music side, we have songwriter. We have female lead vocals, like artists, and then we've got some score type submissions and women-led bands, and hoping one of those winners of the women-led bands will be an opener.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like a really would
be
be
huge.
awesome to
Yeah.
happen next year. And
Are you performing?
I'm not sure yet because I'm not quite sure how
It's all play
it's
out.
all going to play out. But I'm always open if they want me to, But it's
I can
Yeah.
attest, folks, an amazing performer. We did a show over in Newport over at the Back Bay Bistro, and she killed it. She was awesome, beautiful voice. I always get this wrong. Don't beat me up. Not a flautist, but you play flute.
if I was in Germany, I would be a flautist. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay,
And my
okay.
mother taught German, so
Okay.
there we go.
So,
Might
yeah,
be
yeah.
involved.
so
but
Because
flutist,
there's some
flutist.
distinction between that, folks. I just wanted to
Flutist.
make sure I got that right.
Flutist, yeah.
Flutist, yeah.
Yeah.
And so amazing. So that'll be great. Now, Sammy here wants to know: is there going to be an Action Dog Film Festival?
actually, yeah, we should do that.
He's got his bomber jacket. He's ready to rock and roll.
I see that. He just needs a little race car.
Particularly a female dog, right?
Yeah,
In
that would be
action.
dope. Yeah.
We can just give him some eyelashes.
Well, you can get, since he's the bomber pilot, you can get like a female dog Wonder Woman. She could be
Oh,
like
yeah.
a big action hero, and he could kind of be there to kind of be
Fly
her
her
love
in.
interest. Yeah,
Yeah. That was
So
what
that-
I love that movie.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
So we've got one little piece here. We're going to be playing some music from a score that you did out, and can you tell us a bit about that piece of music before we go?
Sure.
That's Kaylene, by the way.
I produced, directed, scored a feature film called Redemption.
Oh, okay.
It was my first feature, and it did win some awards. I won a director's award from a few film festivals, and it's the opening scene. It's the theme from Redemption.
Okay,
It's a little orchestral piece that I wrote. It's like 1 minute and 20 seconds, not that
Awesome.
long. So
I heard the first time I heard compositions that she'd scored. I was sitting in my office listening to the music, and it was absolutely. I mean, you just stop to listen, and my roommate was in another room. He's like, "Who is that?" So her music catches your attention. I mean, it demands attention.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it yet set to film. You know,
And I do have the opening scene with that theme, and it's. I could give you the opening scene too. I don't know. Do you want
All right.
the
Yeah.
the scene with the music?
Yeah.
I can bring. I'll
let's-
send you that.
Yeah, do
Let's
that.
put that in. Let's put that in.
So.
Well, with that said, you know, our time is kind of come to a close. We could go on forever, but you know, we're excited about the film festival. We're excited about the music festival. I'm excited to see where you ladies go with your careers. And this has been Kaylene Peoples. We've got Melanie Wise from the Artemis. I'm going to look back down at Artemis Women in Action Film Festival. A little longer. I don't have that kind
It's
of memory
way
anymore.
long.
But
It's ridiculous.
yeah, and this has been about women leadership in the entertainment business, the growth in the industry, and I'm excited to see.
Can
it
I
more.
say one more
Oh
thing?
yeah, sure.
So when specific to just for watching, you know, like Sundance, I just saw an article like literally half of Sundance's drama competition this year is from female directors. So
Wow.
we're seeing this trend change, and over the last 5 years of doing the festival, it's been amazing to see the attention that is starting to be given to women.
Yeah.
So that part's awesome.
That is awesome.
Can I make a plea?
Yes.
Women, please, if you are a composer, if you are a female-led band, if you are a female recording artist, this is your opportunity to gain massive exposure. You will be totally brought out into the forefront, those that have are official selections in this. Do not let this opportunity pass by. You want to be on the first start of this inaugural thing that's happening with women and the movement of women in music, women-powered music.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Well, ladies, thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and play the clip out and play the music out. You've been awesome. I wish you much success.
Thank you.
And this has been the Changing Stage Radio Show on Enter Talk. We'll see you the next time.
What was God thinking when He created us? He didn't give animals a conscience like He gave us. You know that thing that keeps you up at night? That thing that stops you from committing another sin? And have you noticed that when you ignore that thing, your conscience, it just gets louder and louder? Pretty soon it's screaming at you. You know, it's human nature to confess. And when we do, boy, does it feel good. I'm so lucky. I've been blessed with such wise counsel. Someone whom I can turn to in times of need and advice. Someone who's always been there during my most difficult times. Someone with whom I have not been completely honest.